What's good, YouTube? This is Chris from Team Innovation here with
Cody Makela.
And what deck are you playing?
Essentially a pile of cards, but it's just like a Lightsworn synchro deck, varianted with spirals.
And we're here at the Illinois Regionals. What's your record right now?
X1.
So you might top because you have one more round left. I had to get the deck profile early if I can get everything in order. So let's get to the list.
All right. I play these three as the one-ups, as the Lightsworns. I play 2 Wolf, 3 Raiden, 3 Lumina, and this is the Lightsworn engine.
Okay.
3 Fairy Tail.
Now why her?
She has a lot of synergy with the deck. She gets to the graveyard, it puts a lot of pressure on the game. The decks aren't really strong enough to combat this card in the graveyard.
Right.
If I essentially put up a board, I was only playing 2, but my initial problem was I couldn't get to 3. I wanted to get to 3, I wanted to get to 2. It's just sometimes you wouldn't get to them in the graveyard.
Okay.
So, but 3 worked out really well, especially with Darklaw today. A lot of people were playing Darklaw, normal summon, it outs Darklaw, and I continue my plays.
That wrecked me earlier.
Yeah.
That card's good.
But this is definitely the best card in this deck right now. It just floats all my matchups. Blue Eyes have a hard time. They can't really make Spirit Dragon under it. They have to draw especially well, but drains resources, helps me win that matchup.
Okay.
Not much more to explain about that. The fun part of this deck is the Spiral engine. I play 2 Spiral Super Agents and 1 Quick Fix. This is just another level 4 engine. I had a lot of problems making Minerva or getting to the rank 4s I need, sometimes the synchros. So I was looking for something. I found this. It was new stuff. I wanted to play new stuff people didn't know. And these worked especially well, especially if I would play against people who played back row. These can solve spells or traps that create a situation for me. A lot of people were main decking anti-spell today, and just summoning the Super Agent, getting rid of that, and clearing board. Most of the time, if you have an anti-spell set, you're not going to have the most optimal board you want to, I don't know, win, I guess?
Yeah.
But that goes along with this. I was able to play this.
Okay.
This, a lot of people assumed I would go into Dante, but I found better use for this considering he's an Earth Warrior. It helped out a lot because I could just go into Invoker, and I never had it dealt with. Invoker was always so strong, it was just a free level 4. I'd bring him out, it'd set up the graveyard and get this engine going, which would get me to Minerva. And that was essentially a Minerva without having to use my normal summon, considering all the other monsters I have in the graveyard support. So I was playing, aside from that engine, I was playing a little Synchron engine. That's for Brilliant Fusion. I don't need to explain that.
Right.
Sapphire is cooler than Garnet, I guess. I don't know. I'm a cheeser. I needed this Synchro engine. I wanted Glow Up Bulb, because essentially if I get Fairy Tail to the graveyard, and I can make Glow Up Bulb with either my normal monster or the Spiral engine, which works really well. You make Naturia Beast. There's not many decks that can solve Naturia Beast nor Fairy Tail, and that just ends the game there. I'll get free game 1s. I mean, that's how most of my matches went today. Game 1, I was literally just free if I went first. Or I just killed them because their deck wasn't as strong as mine.
That's pretty fucking cool.
This is the one of Equip card that's for the Spirals. It brings the guys out of the graveyard, the level 1 guy searches it. So, not much I can explain about that, it's just more synergy for the level 4s.
More for the deck pretty much.
Yep. My one-of spells, just generic powerful spells.
Yeah.
Get the level 1s out. The level 1 Spiral guy, whenever he's summoned, he searches for this, so he also makes formula. This is pretty generic. Just the powerful spell lineup that gets the deck going. I like calling these the Trinity, the Instant Fusion, Brilliant Fusion, and the Terra Top. Whenever I opened up them 3, I didn't lose the game. It was literally impossible for me to lose the game. I never had a problem.
Right.
So, I don't know. Me and my friends just call it the Trinity. You win the game.
Yeah.
You have to get floodgated out, and I mean the Spirals solve that problem.
Right.
I'm gonna go to the extra deck. 1 Minerva.
Why is Minerva used? I mean, I know why it's used, but can you explain Minerva a little bit? For people who can't afford it.
It's actually really necessary for this deck. The milling, the utility in the graveyard. I mean, rank 4s aren't really that good in this deck. The only rank 4s I use are for utility for the deck.
Right.
So getting cards in the graveyard, drawing cards, advancing my game state is really good. And it's sort of threatening because my opponent, it's a huge wild card if they try to out the Minerva. The milling 3 could potentially just destroy board states.
Right.
So it's really awkward for them to deal with. So I've played this deck without this before. I've always had it with this deck, but I have played it, and it really does cripple you without it, but it is possible.
Okay.
So, 1 Diamond Dire and 1 Emerald. This never recycles any monsters. It's only extra deck cards. There's way too many games where I find myself running out of extra deck cards. I'll get down to like 1 or 2, and it just creates a problem. I start losing the grind game.
Okay.
Well, this fixes it. Diamond Dire, I needed a card. It's just like Infernities. I have to clear my board so I can continue my plays. The Invoker to bring out the Spiral guy. Normally he's the one that gets Diamond Dire Wolfed. Formula, I didn't play him that much. He's probably going to come out. But whenever I did make him, he's especially strong against Blue Eyes. If I can make him with Blue Eyes have the Fairy Tale in graveyard, just sitting him, keeping him on the board, puts pressure. My opponent can summon Alternative Eyes. I already waste 2 of their resources going into a Trishula. It happens a lot. Or Clearwing. Just powerful cards against that matchup. Same thing with Burning Abyss. I mean, they start floating their cards around and Trishula makes it awkward for them. And a lot of people forgot what this did. I didn't have a single person play around that card today. They just kind of lost to it.
Right.
Nat Beast, I mean, it's literally what it is. You cheese game 1s. Sometimes I just won a game 3 my last round, not this current one, but the one before, because I just summoned it and had a Fairy Tale in the graveyard. The Blue Eyes player couldn't, like, he physically can't out it. His deck can't out that.
Right.
I mean, he can summon Alternative if he opens up the 2, but then the Fairy Tale solves the problem.
Yep.
So essentially, Naturia Beast with Book of Moon, can't deal with it. Coral Dragon. This guy was probably MVP today. Just clearing back row, leaving him up against Demise decks. He's just really strong. And him in a level 4, it's just like Formula. He draws me more cards, gets me to more cards. And I'm able to go into this with any free level 4. Normally Fairy Tale, it's free. I draw a card, and a lot of decks have a problem getting over this. It's a card that I can almost guarantee to stay on my board and come around my next turn, and I'll have that there to help me push. So I really liked it. If I played against Pendulums, they literally couldn't get out of it. I played against one matchup today where I just summoned this. I was up by 3,000 life points, and all the way to time, they just couldn't get over it.
Okay.
They didn't have a physical thing to do. So this card won me many games as well. Michael, not much to explain, just the generic guy. Yep. Clearwing, it was a huge fight between Clear and Crystal between these two. I found this guy much better. The way I've been looking at things is how do the cards react with Fairy Tale in the graveyard, and this card's much better with Fairy Tale in the grave.
Right.
Crystal just wasn't that strong. I mean, it's a good card, but when I can utilize 7s a lot easier and just throw this out here, it makes it really rough for them to, like, say they're playing Eccentric and I have a Nat Beast on board. They can't essentially just kill the Nat Beast if I couldn't get the Fairy Tale. And it just... for instance, people expect this out of 7s.
Right.
Specifically, Blue Eyes players. They'll have Spirit Dragon. Alright, well, they can out this. If they have Spirit Dragon, they let me just go into this, which happened multiple times today. It's just over for them. The Spirit Dragon can't do anything, and this just floats me the game. So this card was definitely one of the MVPs as well. Trish, just winning games because she is what she is. And then Omega. A lot of synergy with the deck, returning the banished cards to the graveyard, especially Jet Synchron, just continuing to recycle. Other than that, it's generic. The Norden and the Seraph Knight.
Okay, yeah. Cut your combo pieces.
For the side deck, I was playing these.
Okay.
It's mainly for Blue Eyes, but there was a ridiculous amount of Lightsworn players here today.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't believe how many people have Minervas here and are actually playing this deck and doing well. My friends all were playing the same deck as me, but I also, my friend Pinot, he was playing this. I didn't really like it at first. He's playing DD Crow now, but the level 3 tuner is really strong. It makes more synchro plays. So the level 3 hand trap tuners are really strong in this deck, and you'll see why. To continue that, we got the Ghost Reapers and Cherries. Along with that, I side deck Dante.
Okay.
I have a lot of side deck space, so
yeah,
I just threw this in here.
Might as well.
There's no extra deck space. 2 Ghost Ogres. This absolutely just destroys the pendulum mechanic. They feel so safe, and when they make an awkward play that's really strong but could potentially put them in a terrible position, this is the card that does that and just floats so many games. And again, level 3 tuner. Regeki and Swords. There was a lot of decks that were playing Darklord, they wanted to play Jowgen, just a lot of cards that give people free wins, like what I was doing. This card solved it. If they were playing like Blue Eyes, I mean, activating this, they could chain the Spirit, but I mean, they don't get value out of it anymore. Their guys are down and I can continue my plays. Or if I'm playing against Pendulums, they essentially, the Kieran is the only thing that I fear from them, if my hand's not strong enough, but this solves all of that. So I have no problems other than that. So these cards were really strong. Today, I wasn't sure what I was going in with Spell and Trap Destruction wise. I decided Twin Twisters. It was Cosmic Cyclones at first because I feel like those are better against Burning Abyss. I like getting rid of the trap cards. They cause a lot of problems.
Right.
They can continue to float the game, especially banishing, bringing out more monsters. But I was kind of worried about Demise decks today. My deck has a good matchup against Demise, but I mean, you can just get shut down so easily. I couldn't do much about that. This has synergy with discard and cards, so I just went with these. And then Galaxy Cyclone and Breakthrough Skill. These have a lot of good synergy with Omega, and these also, I don't really side going first. These were the only things I side if I go first, considering this stuff doesn't really help me.
Right.
Sometimes I'll replace the Dante for like something that's useless in the extra deck. If I'm playing against Pendulums, I'll take out Dweller, which, speaking of which, there's a Dweller in the extra deck I forgot about.
Yep, it's fine.
But I'll swap those two because sometimes you make Dante. These are really strong. Again, Darklaw is a huge problem for me if I don't out it. I only played against it once. It was some guy he was playing. It wasn't even like, I guess, meta deck. It was just like Dark Worlds making Darklaw all the time.
Yeah.
It was powerful, but he wasted a lot of resources trying to play his cards, so considering I don't have to put much into clearing his board, it was beneficial for me.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, that's the deck. My terrible deck profile, but I tried my best.
No, you did really good. You did really good. All right, you got one last round to go. Any thoughts about the format so far, this new format?
I got really lucky this list. Me and almost everyone I knew thought the Trinity I explained, the Instant Fusion, the Brilliant Fusion, and the Turret Top, we thought most of them cards were going to get hit. Them leaving them cards alone just kept this deck at the power level I wanted it at.
Yeah.
And hitting down all the other meta decks really helped. Like, Domain Monarchs was one of our worst matchup, probably our worst matchup, absolutely. We would just lose to that deck. I mean, anyone could just Domain summon a Monarch, sure, we lost, whatever. But right now, just like all the decks aren't as powerful as ours, the only games I found myself losing were just to myself. The deck would brick once in a while. I mean, that's what happens with Lightsworns. It's that kind of deck. And then one game I just lost to Banisher the Radiance today.
Okay.
I can't do anything about that, but he had warning with it, so he got me.
Well, thanks for the deck profile, bro.
Yep.